Hello, 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 friends. Hello. Happy. What day is it today? Tuesday? Monday? Oh my gosh. Okay. Well, happy whatever day it is today. This is the quarantine life. It all blends together. But anyway, welcome everyone to this last minute sacred gathering with Shophar. It goes by Show enerG Work on Instagram. So we're going to talk with him today about sex. Here we go. Okay. Oh, I see. There we go. Okay, I had to invite him. There we go. Add. There he is. Hello.
Peace, Ionna. How you doing?
Good. How are you doing? Long time no see. My gosh.
No, it's been a little bit. No question.
I'm so excited that we're going to have a conversation today. I've been missing having these conversations, especially on IG Live. I think it's important that we continue as body workers and healers to continue to talk about the importance of sex and pleasure and our sensuality, even during these times that are so crazy.
I agree. If nothing else, it's even more time now. I mean, we're in this forced hibernation, and we looking at each other's bodies and faces all day. So
True. Very, very true. Well, let me introduce you. So I haven't introduced you to my audience when everyone gets a chance to either jump on or look back at the recording. So this is Shophar, everyone. He goes by for Show enerG Work. I'm reading his bio here. Shophar, he reclaims sensuality for conscious healing. He holds sensual emotional exchange sessions for couples, singles, and groups. He does a bunch of amazing workshops. I've been to the hip hop Kundalini workshop that he did a few months ago. Before, I think this was maybe right before quarantine happened. And it was so much fun. It's about expression and vocalization. And I'm really excited to be in conversation with you because I'm usually in conversation with those who identify as women healers. And so this is really exciting to have someone who identifies as embodying the masculine energy coming in and talking about your perspective and how you, what your ideas are and what your medicine is in this world. So before we dive into all of that good juiciness, why don't you go ahead and tell us how, because I want to know, how did you start all this? Like, where did you come from? How have you, like, what, did you always want to do this? I know I didn't. This was a complete shock and a beautiful blessing that the universe gave me to be a holistic pleasure coach. So I'm really curious to see, how did you come upon all this great work?
it's a good question. So in different readings that I've gotten, Ionna, I've gotten several ones that have said that I've done this type of stuff in other past lives. Now, for listeners who out there, maybe you believe in that, maybe you don't. If you do, if you're open-minded to it, just throwing that out there. So in this lifetime, though, in 2002, I met a gentleman. I went to I was still living in Virginia at the time. That's where I grew up. I was born in New York and raised in Virginia. And I went to a book signing. And matter of fact, it was on February 2nd, 2002. So it was 2/2/2002. A lot of twos. Yeah, a lot of alignment there. And anyway, this brother, he was dropping some gems. Like, I went in there, he was talking about, at the time I didn't know what he was talking about, but he was talking about sacred sensuality. And and this brother was talking about a lot of, Eastern, principles and concepts, stuff that was, again, new to me at that time. And this was a brother. So that was different for me too. He was talking about Chinese medicine and stuff like that, but he was a brother. And so I
Yeah.
was like, wow, okay, I'm definitely intrigued. Like, tell me more. And so anyway, long story short, I reached out to the brother, and he ended up coming to my place, and I invited my mom, a couple of my sisters. I have four younger sisters, and a couple of my friends. And we filled up my little apartment, and he was just dropping gems. And
Dope.
nobody else, none of my family or friends took to it at the time, but I was just all on board from there.
Hmm. That's amazing. And what were you doing before that? Were you doing anything kind of remotely close to any of this work,
Not
or?
even remotely close to it. I was fucking working at Bank of America.
Oh, yeah, no.
Yeah, I was selling
That's
credit card
amazing.
machines, so doing merchant services in a
Oh,
tele what do you call it, a call center.
wow. Oh my gosh. And then what did you do? What was kind of like the path that you took, all the choices that you started to make to get you to where you are as a healer today with all the skill sets that you have?
So I attribute it to three masters that I met in the flesh. There's other books and stuff that have definitely, like Montauk Chia, another gentleman by the name of Raun Nefra Amin. He's a deep brother who he has a group called Asara Set Society. Muata Ashby. These are some of the books and stuff that I learned from abroad or whatever. But as far as person to person, so the first master's name was Yao. And I just did a dope podcast with him today, interviewing him. So
Okay.
I'll send you that. I think you'll love him. So I trained with him from 2002 to 2007. Then in 2007, he introduced me to another brother named Nitiyama. And again, another brother. And I never seen any shit like what he was doing. By the way, I'm not vulgar, but sometimes different words curse. So I just want to make sure, like, your audience and stuff, I'm not trying to offend. Like,
Oh, I'm an F. Yeah, fuck it, do it.
all right.
Safe space.
Want to check in. All right. So what happened is me and two of my friends went over Yao's house, and because we were kind of training with him and everything, and he puts this DVD on, and it's this little dark-skinned brother and this woman laying on a massage table on the DVD, and she's laying on the massage table naked. And I'm like, okay, I'm not finna watch no damn porno with with these.
You're like, what am I doing here?
Right. That's kind of an intimate thing that I like to do by myself. And
Sure.
so anyway, he was like, it's not a porno, just chill, check it out. So we did it, and dude starts hovering his hands above the woman without touching her. And he's doing this like for 15, 20 minutes, nothing is happening. I'm kind of bored, like what is this?
Yeah.
Mind you, I have no point of reference. I've never seen
Yeah.
anything like this. So it looks like Reiki, but so next thing I know, though, somewhere in there, she starts to let out a little sigh here and there. And then she starts to kind of cry. And and then it starts to like boo-hoo and come on really strong. And then after it was like a deep guttural sobbing. And then from there, she started to start laughing uncontrollably, like laugh-gasms. And then, Ionna, she started to orgasm. And orgasm and orgasm. And like waves, boom, boom, boom. Mind you, he was not touching her.
Yeah.
So I was telling Kirti earlier, like, I totally had that was for me my moment of being pulled out the matrix, because how I thought the universe worked, I had to recalculate. So on the drive back, like my friends, they weren't as impressed as I was with it, but I was like fucking recalibrating, like, what did I just see? How this is like out of Star Wars. Oh, it's pausing on mine. I don't know if you can still see me. I'll just pause for a second. It stopped on mine. I don't know if you can still see me or hear me, but I can see you now. What I was saying is that really made me recalibrate. To me, that was like kind of like using the Star Wars Force, and so that was my moment of really coming into, like seeing a piece of the puzzle. Oh, it's freezing again. Oh, there you are.
Uh-oh, I think I lost you.
Can you? I can see you now. Oh,
Oh no, I think I lost you.
I'm still here.
Gosh dang internet connection.
See.
All right, y'all. I really want you to be able to hear what Shophar has to say. So, Shophar, if you can hear me, I'm gonna X you out, and then I'm gonna invite you back. Oh, wait a minute. There you are.
I can you hear me though? Can you see me? Hear me?
Yeah, there you
Okay.
are. Okay.
Oh, perfect.
Okay.
All right. Hey, peace, family. So,
Okay, so you got to repeat that a little bit. So let's go back to you felt like your mind got pulled out of the matrix when you saw this person um, just having really deep expressive emotions and feelings just from someone hovering their hands over their body.
totally, totally. And with my male mind at the time, I thought it had something to do with his hand hovering, or we
Mm-hmm.
can go into what actually is going on later. But
Mm-hmm.
because it's not so much about the hand hovering, but uh, it really just without him touching her, I had no point of reference. Like, how is that possible? And
Yeah.
at that time, I thought I had some pretty good sexual experiences, but that I never did that before. And
Yeah.
so, and then the last piece of the puzzle, Ayane, was in 2013. So I reached out to that master and started learning and, chopping it up with him. And I love these guys, they never charged me for this. When they had time available, we just would chop it up and talk. And I learned different
Mm.
things. And the first master, Yao, I actually did do some classes with him. So
Mm.
his training is a little bit more, his background is he's an engineer. So in his other lifetime, he was an engineer with Exxon Mobil,
Nice.
and then he
Wow.
was going on with he worked on turbine engines on ships, and
Yeah.
he had his spiritual awakening, and you know, and then but this other guy, Nitiyama, his background was like he used to be a hustler. He used to be out in the streets,
Mm-hmm.
and he had his spiritual awakening with Osho. He went to Osho's
Oh,
thing
yeah.
and
Yeah.
got some downloads from Osho and just totally changed his trajectory. Um,
Mm.
so Yao is kind of more like intricate, has different steps and techniques. And Nitiyama is kind of more wax on, wax off. He teaches you stuff without you without you knowing that you're learning, you know,
Mm.
that type of thing. So I appreciate both of them. And then the one who brought it all together for me was in 2013. Sasha, she used to be in a loving relationship with Nitiyama. She's a master in her own right. And I
Okay.
got a session with her up in Malibu. By this point, I had moved to California. And Ionna, I had never, even though I had been doing the energy work, I mean, learning about it and everything, mentally, but she helped me actually embody it at that point to actually
Mm.
have a bodily experience of it.
Mm.
She just had all this electricity and stuff going through my body without touching me, and all these memories from my childhood just going through my mind. Like I would
Mm.
see where I formed these false belief systems from my childhood. So
Wow.
very powerful orgasmic experiences with very little touching done.
Mm. So then that's a perfect segue into um, sex, sensual, emotional exchange. Can you tell us how, is this your personal, I think this is your personal definition, right? Or
Yeah,
your acronym.
that's my
So
acronym.
why don't you go ahead and tell us, yeah, go ahead. Tell us about it.
Uh, well, because I've seen sacred energy exchange, and I like that one too. SEX
Mm.
energy exchange. Uh,
Yeah.
but for me, I came up with sensual emotion exchange because I was like, okay, yes, sex is a sacred energy exchange, but I wanted people to get let's take that one level deeper. Like, what is that? What is that exchange? And for me,
Yes.
the sensual is the body.
Yes.
So I'm talking about the body when I say sensual. The emotional is that component, the emotions, feeling, and
Mm-hmm.
then the exchange is the consciousness and awareness that
Mm.
we bring with the breath. So the breath is the thread between the sensual and the emotional. When we breathe with consciousness, when we breathe with awareness, that's when we have SEX. And that's way bigger than just knocking our genitals together. Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
That's fun too. But we're bigger than that. We're more vast than that.
Mm. Now, how, I guess in a client setting, how do you work with someone for them to understand that, or what are your clients usually coming to you for? Like, what's the dominant um, ask and need, and then how does the sensual emotional exchange come into that practice?
Yeah, so the main ask or asks, I guess, is like three main ones. I have this outline for people tuning in now or in the present. I mean, in the future now. I have it on my website, but I have an acronym, HAPPY. I like acronyms. And so HAPPY is, the H is for healing. Because a lot of people, they reach out, they've experienced some type of trauma, usually a sexual trauma of some sorts. So the H is healing. The A and the P, the first P, the A and the P is for aligning with purpose. Sometimes people come, but they're wanting to align with their purpose in some way. Like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do, or my job is not fulfilling. And then the last P is for pleasure. They're looking to just explore their pleasure, right? You know, they're just looking to go deeper in their own sensual and sexual exploration.
Yeah.
And the Y is kind of a balance between yin and yang energies. You know, just to understand yin and yang, or feminine and masculine. Because when we talk about feminine and masculine, when I say it, I'm not talking about genitals, I'm talking about energy.
Yes, you know, it's so interesting that you say that. When I first started doing all my research around sexuality and spirituality, I was doing my master's thesis, and I had already had my own personal experiences with it, and that's what brought me to be curious about it and want to learn about it in an academic sense. And I remember being really kind of frustrated with the ideas of using the word feminine and the word masculine, only simply because I know that it can be maybe off-putting, or even really kind of just simple binary. And for people who don't subscribe to that, it can seem really isolating. And that's one of the things that I want to really highlight with this work that you do, and with these ideas, is that if you're a human, these are ideas that are inherent to you. They are part of what make you you, regardless of how you identify or whatever. And the way that I like to think of masculine is the awareness, the container, and the feminine as the creative potential and the kinetic energy to manifest. And I was wondering if you could talk about how you support someone to understand that in your practice, or what are the kind of the practices that someone can do to bring those into unison, or feel both, or embody both, and why that's important.
I love the way you just explained it, Ionna, and I feel like one of the easiest ways for us to come back to the remembrance of it, because we are embodied, we are yin and yang to the core, you know, and we can't escape it. You know, we could be the most staunch, most misogynistic masculine dude, but you still got feminine in you, you know, and vice versa. You could be like, I don't mess with men, and you know, patriarchy sucks, and you know, just kind of I forget what the term is for misandry, I think, when you hate men. You could be on that level, but you still got masculine energy in you. We can't get away from it. So the easiest way I say to embody it is just to take our right hand, and let's all do this right now. Take our right hand and put it over our heart. That beating is yin and yang all day. As the energy is coming in from the veins into the different parts of the heart. You know, we have 4 major chambers, and then as it leaves to go back out to the artery systems, we embody that just in our heartbeats and in our breath. As we breathe in, let's take a deep breath in. That's the feminine, and let's breathe out. And it depends on, you can reverse your thinking on that either way too. You can say that it's the masculine when you breathe out. Like, either way, we're still having that interplay of energy all the time. So that's 2 very easy ways for people to understand. Like, we embody masculine and feminine energies, yin and yang, whatever we want to call it.
I love that. I really, really, really love that. I think one of the things that I'm really interested in talking about, touching on your HAPPY acronym, aligning with purpose. And the reason why I think I want to talk about that right now specifically is in the context of what we're all experiencing. Although we're all experiencing a trauma, ancestral trauma, generational trauma. But I think also what we're asking, a lot of us are asking ourselves, is like, where do we fit in the context of this of the community that is vocalizing and expressing and wanting to be heard and crying out. And so how, mean, can you speak to that? What is the importance of sensual emotional exchange or sacred energy exchange, breath, the remembrance of this unity in asking ourselves, what's our purpose, or in allowing ourselves to come into our purpose? What's the importance of it? Why is it important?
I love that question. Do you mind holding for 1 second while because I want to adjust my light. I feel like I'm in the dark a little bit.
Get your light, Shophar.
Okay. I'm gonna let my light shine.
Yeah.
Light.
Hello to everyone who's joined. Thank you so much for joining us. I so appreciate you coming in and sharing sacred space and holding space for yourselves and for both of us.
For sure. I feel like this, Ionna, is like the way that our breath and our awareness and bringing that stuff, bringing all of that stuff and how it helps us to align with our purpose is in my book, I have a acronym, DNA, Divine Natural Awareness. And
I like that one.
I like for people to know that our purpose is innate. Like that we can't remember what we're on the planet to do. It's because we've put a lot of other junk in here. Our heart, we already know. So that's why I call it divine natural awareness. And what sensual emotional exchange does is it helps clear out all the other voices and the viruses, if you will, that we've downloaded, you know, that are getting in the way where we can't hear the innate wisdom that's already there.
Yes. Ooh, I love that. The innate wisdom that's already there. And the body really speaks it out loud, so loudly. But like you said, there's so many other conditionings that have taken us, told us that we are separate from our body and that there isn't a communication there. And we think it's severed. We think we're broken from it. There's so much disassociation that we believe that we've placed in our own relationship with our body that we don't remember, or we don't remember until we allow ourselves to become aware that relationship has always been there. So can you speak a bit more about like sex and consciousness?
Yes. Yeah. Oh, that's one of my favorite topics.
Ooh, speak on it.
Yeah. I love it because I think a lot of us, I know I had a misunderstanding about it, and us not understanding the purpose or what sensual emotional exchange, what true sex does for us, it's basically when we're just meeting in the bedroom, just genital to genital, and that's really all it is. It's kind of like having a bonsai tree, and you know, a bonsai tree could be a big, beautiful oak, but it's this little miniature thing because we do different things to the roots, we do different things in pruning it, and we make it a miniature sized being. You know, that's what we are as human beings on this planet right now. We are way smaller. We are bonsai people, you know, because our roots, which is the sensual and the emotional, because we're not having consciousness go down into the roots of our being, we're not growing to our full capacity. And there's a correlation between, I like to call what we call in Western science our nervous system. I call it the awareness system. And I don't think, first of all, we're not doing ourselves any favors by calling it nervous. And that right, you know what I mean? And if you really think about what the sympathetic and parasympathetic do, it makes us more aware. The sympathetic of our environment, our quote unquote outside environment, the parasympathetic are inside.
Yes.
And so I call it that, and that's one of my goals of my profession. My professional goal is to have conversations with neuroscientists and have it legitly renamed to the awareness system.
I love that.
Yeah, I thank you. I feel like it needs to be called the awareness system.
You know, I was just thinking about this yesterday. Just, you know, the most, I think positive psychology is a field that is maybe 10 years old, maybe a little, it's relatively new in the landscape of Western clinical psychology. And psychology as we know it and Western medicine is all based in pathology. And so for us, I think that's part of the work that you are here to do in wanting to be a proponent for reframing these ideas, reframing our language, because you love language, you love like switching words around, or like I love that you do that, because it forces us to see our words and our thoughts in a different way. And I think it's just so important that we, as these paradigms are shifting in our consciousness around everything, especially in the United States and the world, right? It's important that our body, our pleasure, our sensuality, and physical connection, our emotional connection to this greater consciousness, or it is manifested consciousness. It's important for us to have these conversations and to speak on it almost incessantly about it. It's so important that these ideas are broadened and more readily accepted. So I'm all for it, man. I am all for it, and best of luck. And I know you're gonna make big changes.
I appreciate that. I
Yeah.
appreciate that, Ionna, and I feel like it is time for, like, a lot of the things that we're seeing, that the troubles that we're going through on this planet right now, and it is really not new. Um,
Yeah.
it's just, a different
Yeah.
variation of it, but it's because we're not
Yeah.
evolving. As human
Mm.
beings, we're not evolving, and when we fail to evolve, then that's when we keep doing the same things over and over again to each other, because we're not evolving, we're not bringing our heart more in line, we're not growing in our consciousness, right? And
Mm.
it's again because we have that bonsai tree, because we're not going down into the roots, we're not making the connection with the emotions, and we don't know about our consciousness. So I really do
Yeah.
feel that sensual emotional exchange, that us understanding sex at a whole different level, we it is inevitable. If human beings start to experience true sex, evolution is inevitable.
Oh, I 100% agree with that. The sense of well, because we have a mind, and this idea of identity, even though identity really kind of is more of a hindrance sometimes, right? When we can start to experience physically and sensually and energetically our abundance and our what's the word I'm looking for? Uh, Timelessness,
Mm,
our consciousness, our openness. It really mind fucks you in the best way possible to see yourself beyond just the physical, beyond the narratives and ideas that have kept us as bonsai people.
I love it. I love it. I love the term that you used on your Instagram page, fluidity. And
Mm,
I feel like us being able to flow between the sensual and the emotional and the consciousness. And
mm,
the powerful thing about this modality and us showing up in this way is that if somebody feels something in their physical body and yet they know you're not touching them, they have to redo reality. You can't go for
yeah,
the old physics. The old physics just went out the door. Now we're talking quantum physics. If
yeah,
we're doing a Zoom call and you feel something in your body, but yet I'm on one side of the country or the other side of the world, but yet you feel something in your body, physics just went out the window. We're doing quantum physics now.
yeah. Oh, oh, totally. And that's what we are. That's our nature. So, speak on with you looks like, because you know
All right. Are you there? Hey, I'm back. Can you see? Oh, cool. I can't hear you. I can't hear you. No. I know. Uh, she's trying to move to another place, I think. Still, I'm gonna try. Hello? Oh shit. I can see you. Yeah. No, it's down. I'm sorry. Man. Okay. Still?
Okay, hopefully you all can hear me. Let's see if I can get Shophar back. Difficulties in the last live. Hopefully you can hear me. There was an issue with y'all being able to hear me, but hopefully that's remedied. We'll see once Shophar jumps on. But to catch the first half of my conversation with Shophar about sensual emotional exchange, sex, and consciousness, that's up on my IGTV. I'll share it with him. Go check out his page at Faux Show. enerG work. Oh, there he is. Okay, we're gonna add him on again.
I'm,
Can you hear me?
yeah, I can hear you. We're good to go.
Oh no, you're all choppy.
Oh no.
Yeah, I don't know who it was, but someone in the comments said retrograde.
Yeah.
Retrograde, we fucking it up. Okay. Okay, I think I can hear you.
You can hear me now?
Yeah, okay, we're back on.
Oh, dope. Dope. Well,
Okay, I don't even know where we were. Where do you want to start?
I'm totally open, fluid to whatever's alive in the space for you now. Last thing I heard that was coming through choppy was like I think you were asking me about a session, like what happens in it or something like that, right? How do
Yeah, that exactly. Go ahead.
Okay. Okay. Well, as far as the session, so in 2014, I started doing it by myself, and at the time, a lot of my clients were just single, or women. And now I work with couples, and men as well. And every session that I do with the feminine now, Kirti, you know Kirti, we do all of our sessions together. So we do sessions with women, and then we do sessions with couples together. And then I also do, like I say, work with men, whether they want energy work themselves or if they're wanting to learn how to do the energy work. So
how is this different?
Oh, go ahead. Yeah.
Oh, no, go ahead.
No, you go. I'm good. I got my train of thought. I'll save it for later if it's important.
Yeah, no, I think I was just gonna say, how is this different from or Reiki, if someone's familiar with Reiki?
Got you. So I believe that Reiki is, in most cases, is part of. So there's two major themes as far as how the sessions go with us, and then sometimes there's an interplay between the two. But the first one is cocooning. Cocooning is kind of a more yin or inward feminine interaction where it's like a deep, restful, nurturing, healing feeling. It's very restorative. It's not a lot of lights and glamour and everything. It's just sometimes it's just a real silence. Sometimes people fall asleep and then they'll wake up and be like, "That's the deepest sleep that I've gotten in a long time." That for me is more like when it's showing up more like a Reiki feeling for the person, because there's somewhere in them that they just needed to reset that deep, maybe they have insomnia or other things going on and they just need a deep rest. The other way it shows up is a thing, Ionna, we call ESR, expanded central response. And expanded central response is when basically more and more of the body becomes orgasmic. And so, in the sessions, Kirti and me, we don't touch the breast, we don't touch the sacred areas or whatever. We don't touch the inner thighs. There's no kissing, no fondling, nothing like that. If we do touch the body, it's usually on an acupressure or acupuncture point along a certain meridian or nadi, to move certain energy through a certain channel. But what happens is that as the gatekeeper, the sentry, the guard, as it begins to relax more and more, then a person is able to go into a deeper and deeper state of trance. And once you go into a deeper state of trance, anything becomes more available to us as far as our original nature is orgasmic anyway. So we're just going back to our original self.
I think that's a concept that's so difficult for people to imagine, that our natural state would be orgasmic, and that to be or feel orgasmic isn't just entirely genitals bumping up against each other. It's a state of being in your ecstatic nature. One of the things that I find really frustrating, this is a personal thing that I have, so I really hate the idea of erogenous zones, because, and I understand the necessity to say these are, places that majority of the population supposedly, I haven't seen the studies, but I'm sure possibly there might be some studies to say that there are these erogenous zones that are the majority of people experience. I think it's a good thing to have structure to say, okay, these are places if you're new to sex or you're new to exploring your body. It's good to have points of references, but I think what that does is it's very exclusionary, and it says only these places can be erotic. And if implied in that, if you're not erotic in these certain spaces, that means then that you're broken, or you are not able to be aroused, or you're not sexual, or whatever it is. And I think that really strips us away from our own understanding and ability to perceive ourselves, our potential to feel our orgasmic nature.
I love that. I love what you said. There's so many good gems there. Yeah, the erogenous zone thing, the one thing about the word zone, it has the word one in it. It has the word one in it. So when we realize that all of this is the zone, this is the whole, all of our being is the erogenous zone, the erogenous. Yes. I've seen people in a session, Ionna, where you can put your finger on their eyelid and it sends them into orgasm. People have they have orgasms in their teeth. I've had that
Yeah.
sessions. You know,
Yeah.
the breast can orgasm. Like we are orgasmic beings at our core. So there's yes,
Yeah.
the areas that have more quote unquote neurons. You know, but we
Yes.
remember that the heart itself has 40,000 neurons itself,
Mm.
and that the heart is what's filling up the auric field. So that auric field is robust with different ways to bring more pleasure and sensation into our being. So
Mm.
I love what you were saying there about us not limiting it to just into the you know, those zones. And then one other thing too, in that, again, going back to your fluidity or talking about, you know, orgasmic waves, there's a reason why I feel like these connections to water is very important, because you've heard the saying before, like you don't go to the same river twice. You know,
Yeah.
if you go to that river, but it's never the same river, well, guess what?
Yeah.
Right now, if we were being able to see ourselves as the truly energetic beings that we are, it's this dance of atoms and subatomic particles that is
Mm.
moving in and out in this concert. And we are never
Yes.
the same being. So to think that I'm going to come to
Never.
the bedroom and touch you in the same erogenous zone every night and you be turned on, that's erroneous thinking in this zone.
Mm. Mm. Yes. Yeah.
Every time that we walk into the room, every time that we are a new being, and we need to tune in first to ourselves and then into our lover or lovers,
Yeah.
and be really present as to who they are now and what erogenous area or zone is alive in this moment.
Yes. Yes. One of the things I remember studying, and what Kirti's asking, please talk more about the breast and orgasm, and we're going to talk about the touchless orgasm. So we're going to talk about that in a second. But I remember when I was doing research for my thesis, and I was looking into like mindfulness and sex, this idea of novelty, right? Like Cosmopolitan writes about how to be novel in the bedroom and all this other stuff. By the way, I really hate Cosmopolitan. Sorry, Cosmopolitan, but do better. Um, but yeah, I mean, I think when we perceive ourselves as limitless, and we understand it the way that you did, that was so beautifully said, and thank you for that reminder that, you know, like, you can visit the same river, but it's never the same river. We're always changing. And to not only be perceptive to that dynamic nature that we are, the ability to be open and even soft with ourselves, because is so important, and to give yourself that permission to be flexible and dynamic, and to give that to your partners or partner is important. That compassion, that understanding, that openness, that awareness. And I think that also speaks to, like, when, you know, with all this stuff that we're experiencing that's like very uncertain, and there's so much that we're not sure of. If someone doesn't have a consistent practice, meditation practice, and even if we do, stress on the system causes us to enclose ourselves and encapsulate ourselves. And sometimes that affects our ability to be aroused, because we're not allowing ourselves to be open and aware and sensually open. And so I think to give ourselves the flexibility and the compassion to say, I'm dynamic, and right now this is how I feel. So maybe there's a different type of touch or need or love that I require right now. I think is just as important as being open to being turned on and experiencing orgasm in that ecstatic part. It's a different type of ecstasy, a different type of warmth. I think that's what this practice that you support people to feel is why it's really important, because it gives us the permission to just be how we are right now, then the next moment, and in the next moment, and in the next moment.
I agree. I love. I've seen it on some of your podcasts and everything, and I need to catch up on. I see dope ones out there. Come as you are. I love that term that you use. You know, come as you
Yeah.
are, and I feel like that's so perfect. You know, for what you just were saying, and really that is the thing that we're doing, is coming as we are.
Yeah. Amen to that. And speaking of coming,
Yes.
let's talk about touchless orgasms.
Yes. Yes. Well, so I want to put it because we touched or touchless on it a little earlier.
Yeah.
But I want to say it in a different way that maybe will speak to the science-minded person or something. So if we study in quantum physics, they talk about how there's this understanding about that this reality that we live in, that the things that we think are solid, when we are observing them, when there's an awareness, whether it be our awareness or a frog or something that has a sentient awareness is looking at something, then the reality acts as a particle, as something quote unquote solid. But when consciousness is not doing that, our reality becomes more fluid. It becomes to act as a wave.
Yeah.
And so what we were talking about earlier, the reason why the touchless orgasm is possible is because when we get the sentry, when we get the guard, that part of our being that says that we are solid, when that starts to relax a little bit and just kind of enjoy itself a little bit more, and we go deeper and deeper into a state of trance, our being becomes more fluid. And so it becomes a possibility for someone to just barely move, just to move through the space. And if another person in that space is falling into the feminine, meaning that they're being fully receptive, if they fall into a fully receptive, vulnerable, allowing mode, you're able to now feel those waves. As I move through the space as a conscious masculine being, you're now able to receive that. And there's really, at that point, there's no end to how we play with it. No end.
Yes. Yes. So, I mean, we did touch on, breath and things like that, but for someone who, maybe doesn't have an opportunity to, practice with you, what is something that someone can do for themselves to start to experience themselves as a wave?
Oh, sorry, something happened to my camera here. Oh, there we go.
It's not your apartment.
Something that they can do. So central emotional exchange, actually, that's a beautiful question, Ionna. Central emotional exchange first starts with ourselves. So the idea that we have these different polarities in ourself and that we can run this orgasmicness through, and coming in contact and in touch with that orgasmic nature of ourselves, that DNA, the divine natural awareness, we can come back to that first. And ideally, to my opinion, that's the way it should start anyway. Before we go and meet with a partner or a lover or lovers, it starts with us. And so central emotional exchange starts by overstanding, understanding, and understanding our different polarities that are in our own being and how to play with them and how to move energy around. And so that's what breath work. And, breath is so powerful, yet, I mean, we take about, I think, 20,000 breaths a day, but we bring very little awareness to it. It's just on overdrive. And only time we really think about it is if we can't breathe.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yet it's so powerful. There's a reason why the ancient cultures, like the ancient Hebrews, they call it ruach. And the word that they use for breath is the same word they use for spirit. For the life force. And so just getting back to our breath and playing with those polarities. When I say polarity, I mean, again, going back to the heartbeat, the in and out movements of things, how things are right now, blood is going through the arteries and then it's coming back through the veins. Or what's another one that you can play with? The spine, and that there's fluids going up and down the spine and everything. Energy follows thought. So taking our awareness and bringing it to different places in our body, and then blood follows energy. So it's very simple, actually. What's really hard about this stuff is that the mind is undoing all of the thinking that's going on, but it's a very simple process.
Yeah. Can you speak on how sound plays into the practice. And you and Kirti did a breathwork workshop. The one I went to was a few months ago now, I guess. I think it was like early on in quarantine. And I remember just the breath and the sound that we were able to make in that process after we had moved and everything like that. We were moving the physical body, and then we were moving the energy body with our breath, and then making sound. I remember thinking, wow, like, because I kind of have to be a little silent in the spaces that I'm occupying currently, and so I forgot like how much it just was like so important to be that expressive in moving energy, and then not even just during that presence of being with yourself, but vocalizing just in general to get energy moving is so important. And anyway, so that's my experience of your work and Kirti's work as well. But if you can speak on sound in touchless orgasm and in sensual emotional exchange?
I love that. The voice is so vital because it's something that I like to say. If you know the saying that we say that the eyes are the window to the soul. So if the eyes are the window to the soul, the voice is the soul coming out of the door.
Oh my God, that's so beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna cry. I'm gonna cry. That's a good one. That's really good.
And so
Yeah.
you think about it, Yanni, like so many of us have been traumatized, and we don't think of it as trauma, but shut up, kid, sit down, be quiet, don't make, you had all this bustling energy and creativeness and at a young age, and we're being told to shut up constantly. When the first words that a kid learns is no,
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so that trauma, because we're here to be expressive, we're here to be expressive beings. That's what the God force that is in us wants to do. And when we're shutting down, it is experienced at a certain cellular level as a certain trauma. And so, and many of us have experienced that trauma around our throat and expression of speaking our truth, or how loud we are, or speaking our truth, what we're really, the real, what we're really feeling. There's a lot of trauma and a lot of tension around that. And so just getting, without it even being really deep or esoteric, just getting the person to move their goddamn throat is huge. It lets go of just to let a sound out.
Yeah. Gosh, yeah. I mean, you said a lot there. I mean, I was listening. There's a podcast called The Model Health Show. I don't know if you're familiar with it.
Oh, Sean.
Yeah.
I like him. Yes.
Yeah, I just discovered it. It's really good. And he had a physician on there, or she was a physician or a psychologist or something like that. Dr. Chaudhary, or I believe. I'm butchering it. Anyway, they were talking about sound healing, and how sound, the impact on the reverberation of the cells, and how that impacts protein expression, and protein expression is function, and function is health, right? And so it's just so amazing to me how impactful sound is in our healing process. And when you break it down to expression of soul, when we don't do that, how withering it feels to not express.
Amen. I definitely want to check out that podcast, because one of the things I always like to do is, to the best of my ability, is try to make the connection between the spiritual, or quote unquote esoteric, or the woo-woo and science, and being able to flow with those two languages, at least connect them somewhat. And so I definitely want to check out that podcast. Thank you for mentioning that. It stands to reason to us, though, that we have a certain vibration, and I don't think it's by coincidence that we call it's called our organs. Like almost like a instrument, an organ.
Yeah.
You know, and they have a certain tune or sound, and qigong or breath work deals with that. It's like getting the organs to a certain tune. But when it comes to sex, it's so powerful because when we actually hear one another, it can take us to another deeper level.
Mm,
Sometimes with the clients, uh, just the fact that we hear them at a deep level and really take in the voice and hear it at a deep level, then the person goes into a deeper state of trance, a deeper space of expression. It's something in them that knows that they just been heard, and that makes them feel even more comfortable.
mm. Oh, you know what I love about that too? What's that the quantum idea of like entanglement and what you how two atoms that can be billions of light years away apart, you do something to one thing, the other one experiences it. And then, you know, the idea of um, when something is seen, that's when it is.
Mm-hmm.
All of these like quantum ideas that are connected to our ability to feel like we can be okay to express and safe to express, like being seen, being heard, having it reflected back to us, um, and having that being done in a healing space is so amazing. But then to think about that in the context of being with someone that you love or someone that you do have a deep connection with, I think that's why sex can be so impactful, because it's that mirrored reflection, that entanglement of sensual emotional exchange or sacred energetic exchange.
Amen. Amen. And you know, Ayani, the more we allow ourselves to become aware of and remember our entanglement with life itself, with the mother. I like to call her Mother Heart because if you take the word earth and you take the H and you move it to the front, you now have heart.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
for me, again, I'm decoding. I'm trying to change my relationship in this life, in this life. So I'm decoding with the language. For me to
Hmm.
call it, for me to call her heart puts me in coherence and in connection with her. So that's why I call her Mother Heart. But
Hmm.
when we start to remember our entanglement and that we're in sensual emotional exchange at all times. If we listen to the
Yeah.
birds singing, if we
Yeah.
out at the
Yes.
ocean and the sun, this is quantum entanglement.
Yes.
That we're always in
Yeah.
sexual emotional exchange. This is way bigger than just genitals.
Yeah. Yes. I absolutely love utilizing nature in my own personal coaching practice. And when I support my clients and, you know, when I'm talking about this shit, it's always, it's always connected to nature, because for me, in my personal experience, connecting deeper to my sexuality, and what I mean by that is when I gave myself the permission to feel free to express myself as a sexual person and therefore understand that that was a spiritual expression, um, it was after immense connection with nature and really seeing that I am not separate from that. Do you utilize a lot of nature in your practice, or how do you integrate? I know we've been talking about it. You've used a couple examples. Is there any other way that you utilize it?
I do. For me, you know, I was introduced to actually by Sasha, the third master who did the energy work on me.
Yeah.
She introduced me, I think, in 2014 to a system called Ifa, which is from the Yoruba people of Nigeria. It's a shamanistic practice from the Nigerian people, the Yoruba, and that system put me actually this chain that I'm wearing is from that religious belief or that connection, and that system actually helped me be more naturalistic and reconnect with nature. So I bring nature in now, you know, as far as my own personal practice, and I realized that if I go sit at the ocean or if I go make, you know, do my qigong in the grass and let my feet touch the soil, that I can then bring those vibrations into the session for
Mm.
the client.
Oh, I love that. That's great. It's so important to find your grounding practice as a healer. It's so important. And then let's bring that back to Kirti's other suggestion that we talk about breast orgasms
Yes,
or breast massage, why that's important, bringing that connection with Mother Heart.
yes,
Can you
yes,
speak
yes.
on that?
Yeah, thank you for bringing that back up because I feel like, uh, you know, breast orgasm is very important. A lot of women don't even know that they're capable of it, and that's a tragedy. I remember, so two things. The first master Yao, when I met him back in 2002, remember I told you he came to my house, and
Mm-hmm.
he was teaching on a whiteboard, and then he put a picture up. He put another board up with a picture. It was from his book, one of his older books, and it had a woman, and she had her arms open like this. She was naked, and she had like a radius of circles coming from her heart area. And he explained
Mm.
for the feminine and for a person that has that makeup, that the orgasms actually will and naturally start from the heart or the breast area.
Mm.
And
Mm.
but because and then this ties into the other master, Sasha. She's a woman. She said that imagine if if we approach women like how if we approach men how we approach women. Imagine if a couple is having quote unquote sex and the woman never touches the man's genitals. Would the man say that he had sex?
Mm.
If you don't put one of those pair of lips, whether it be the top lips, the bottom lips, but if something ain't going on and you're not making contact with them genitals, he ain't gonna say that he had sex. But there
Yeah.
will be times that the man will never touch the woman's breast or just barely,
Mm.
and then move down. As soon as I remember Cat Williams, the comic Cat Williams, he said you do it's the breast the breast clit check. He's like you check the breast a little bit, just enough, and then as soon as there's some wetness, okay, now we go here, and that's it.
Oh gosh.
It's like trying
Okay,
to draw a
Kit.
card, right? And that's it. And we're way more vast than that. To put it
Yeah.
another way, for the sensual emotional exchange to work, and again, this can be same-sex partnership as well. But let's say if it is a heterosexual connection, the feminine, of course, receives on the physical plane, is entered, and is penetrated. But on the emotional plane, she is looking to penetrate the masculine in the
Mm.
heart. And the problem,
Yeah.
Ionna, on the planet is that most of the women on the planet are never getting to penetrate anyone.
Mm.
And you have all this
Oh
love to
my
give.
gosh.
You have all this love to give,
Yeah.
but because there's no rites of passage, and neither sex don't know. We don't really know how we each work. We don't know how our self works. We don't
Mm.
know how the other works. And so, because there's no
Mm.
rite of passage and we don't have this remembrance, there's a lot of women walking around right now on this planet, literally dying,
Mhm.
developing breast cancers and all these other things because their love is not being received.
Hmm. So how do you, in this context, continuing with what you're talking about, this last point, um, I mean, there's so many women who have tumultuous relationships with their bodies or severed relationships with their bodies after experiencing cancer or have had a double mastectomy or some sort of, shift to that part of the anatomy. And so, or, maybe a trans person who has um, a trans male who has a contentious relationship with their breasts, let's say. I mean, there's all different types of experiences that I may not even be, that I'm probably not mentioning in relationship with the breasts. How do you speak to those people in that context?
It's case by case. As of right now, Kirti and me, we've worked with one trans person, and is really just tuning into the unique. And I love when we were talking earlier about frequency, you know,
Mm,
and it's tuning into that individual frequency. It's like the reason why we could be in a room we could be in a coliseum full of thousands of people, and the reason someone calls you and only your phone rings is because it's a unique frequency. And so we, in sensual emotional exchange, we're tuning into the unique frequency of that person in that moment. Not who they were yesterday, in this moment, who they are. And the things that helps us as practitioners is the voice, is the person showing up a certain willingness, a certain vulnerability. And that's cross-gender, it doesn't matter. If there's a certain vulnerability and an allowing, it allows for us to, if you do a little bit, then that's kind of like you're giving us the area code, you know?
Yeah.
You know, but if you,
you
can give us more and more of your number, and if you give us the full number, then that's when you're going to have either the cocooning or the ESR go on.
Oh, I love that. I love that. I think speaking about that experience in that particular way, I think gives someone the sense of autonomy and freedom that we've been told that we don't have. Right. And I think those who are listening, you are the mirror, the practitioner. I don't know what words you want to use to describe yourself, but it's really the person that's reclaiming their freedom, their autonomy, and their conscious ability to be in their body and experience themselves as a spiritual energy and being and consciousness. And that's another reason why I think the work that you're doing, that Kirti's doing, that I'm doing, that so many of us in our community are doing right now, is because we need to remember that we are conscious, autonomous beings, and that there is so much power for us to move beyond our, what did you call it? Not Bodhi trees.
Oh, the bonsai trees, yes.
Bonsai trees.
Yes, we're bonsai people.
Be a big old oak. Yeah.
Yes, oaks and cypress and weeping willows and palm trees, all these different beautiful, unique expressions that we are, instead of just being these little miniature versions of ourselves. I saw in the dialogue, Ionna, that Kirti has said about phantom sensation, about the phantom limb, you know, phenomenon. That's another thing. I haven't worked with anyone yet with that, but I want to work with, like, I've reached out several times to, like, these women who come from places where there's the gentle mutilation. And a lot of women think that, oh, I don't have a clit anymore, and now I'm ruined. First of all, again, you have all of your being, you know. So again, the erogenous zone of your being. But then, as Kirti is pointing out, we also still have the phantom clit. It's still there.
Yeah.
It's still there, and the phantom breast is still there.
Yeah.
You know, it's still that's still in the auric field, so that can still be worked with. And that's not even bringing into the fact that, again, we're talking quantum physics. So we can also, if we understand it enough, we can work with your being before you had that incident. Because energy moves through time and space in a way that we don't fully understand, but we're limiting ourselves. But we can move through time and space. We can work on ancestors. Like let's get into some deeper stuff. But yes. Again, remember that we're this big oak tree, so we're very vast through time and space. People, we're very vast. It's just a remembrance.
Love that. Love it. Remembering your quantum nature.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's a pleasure revolution, like you call it. It's a pleasure revolution. And that lowercase the R and capitalize the rest is an evolution.
Yes, it's so true. It's so true. Is there anything else that you would like to touch on, my friend, or touch less on before we end our time? I definitely want to let people know where they can find you and all of the resources that you have available for people to access. But is there anything, like another topic that you wanted to talk about that you're itching to just be like,
Well, the two things that I'm most excited about that I'm doing right now is I just started a new program called Chi Up. And so I'm reaching out to those God men out there, those who are, you know, that embody the masculine. And that could be anywhere on the spectrum, from a trans man to a heterosexual man, and all the other beautiful and powerful expressions in between. So it's a call out for the God men on the planet. So learning how to do sensual emotional exchange. So that's something I'm very
Nice.
excited about. And then the other thing is that
Nice.
Kirti and me are, and by the way, side note, Kirti has so many dope things. She has embodied the goddess. She's doing a workout program with women, going through the chakra system. So, and then we also have intimate relating that we do together with couples. So, but the other thing that I'm really excited about, Ionna, is Kirti and me are about to launch a program for racism. And is
Yes. Okay.
using breath work to go through racism. In fact, you know what? Again, I love my acronyms, right? So racism is
Yeah.
an acronym for you take the A in racism and you bring it up and let it shine down on all of the other letters. And the A stands for awareness. And then the R is for racism. The C is for classism. The I is for intellectualism. The S is for sexism. And the M is for materialism. And so, of course, we have even more isms that plague us as human beings. And notice, y'all, I say human beings because the sexism, instead of saying human or that she's a woman, no, you're a woman being, or just expressing that you're a woman, but I don't need to put man in it. Or if I say man, okay, M-A, you still have the mother in you. You, as a man, you lowercase the N, you have the mother in you. So it's decoding the sexism. So racism, using those different isms and using sex to first see where I'm racist, whether it be if I'm the oppressed or the oppressor, or if I'm the empowered or the disempowered, or the privileged or underprivileged. Either way, we're playing a role in racism. We're playing a role in classism, sexism, intellectualism, and materialism in some way. So those are the things I'm excited about.
And so what is this, they're both programs, or can you go a little bit deeper on what someone would experience in either one?
So with Chi Up, it's a 6 to 12 week program that's going to take a man through how to become and step more into their God consciousness, to understand the connection between their self, their CELLF, their physical body, their cells, and then their consciousness, their SELF, their spiritually evolving life force, and the connection, the interplay between those two powerful and beautiful energies. And then also, and being able to learn how to do sensual emotional exchange, learning the different archetypes of manhood, how to understand the woman more and honor the womb. So these are just some of the programs that are in that. It's a 6 to 12 week course that we tailor to the man, if they're single and just dating, or if they're already in relating, if they're interested in poly, if they're in monogamy. We tailor it to the man. And racism is a course that goes through those different isms and how, again, we are perpetuated first in ourselves and then define our voice or our inspired action to decode it in the bigger environment.
Oh, I love that. I love that. Finding, like you said, the practice is really the self first when it comes to understanding the body, the sensual self, the conscious self, before engaging with partners, but then also this work of dismantling and reassessing and evolving within ourselves first, so we can then carry that out into the larger evolution of the communities that we're in and in this world.
Amen.
I love that. I love that. So where can the people find you?
Well, I'm on Faux Show energy work. That's the best place. I also have a YouTube channel with a podcast that's on iTunes and then YouTube. So I have plenty of content out there. If this just piqued your interest and you want to learn more, I have, like I said, a podcast. Like one of the three masters that I mentioned, I just did a podcast where I was interviewing him today, and I was just so honored to be able to pick this dude's brain again, and he just dropping gems. So I will actually send that link to you as well, Ionna. So
yeah, love it. Love it. Thank you so much. This was so much fun. I'm so glad that we did this. I am positive and sure this isn't going to be the last time that we have these conversations.
Next time we're going to reverse it, and I'm gonna spotlight you and what you're doing.
Oh, right on. Yay. This was so awesome. And thanks for everyone for tuning in. Please go check out Shophar's work. Also, check out Kirti, his partner. She's absolutely amazing in her own right and in her embodiment of the feminine and as a healer. You guys are amazing. Power couple. All right, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, Ionna, for making womb for today. I appreciate you.
Of course, my absolute pleasure.
All right.
All
Peace.
right, take care, everybody. Bye.
Peace.